Lewis and Clark were the first white Americans to travel across North America all the way to the Pacific West Coast. They documented the land, people, birds, plants, and everything they encountered. Lewis and Clark did not have maps to base their travel on, instead made their own along the way. President Thomas Jefferson chose these men specifically for this expedition. Lewis even took his dog named Seaman along for the expedition. He even had an adventure of his own and was kidnapped by the Indians. Their trip lasted 19 months and occurred in 1804. Meriwether Lewis grew up in Virginia, and William Clark was also from Virginia. They met each other in the army and became friends. President Thomas Jefferson wanted to explore the frontier and wanted to explore the West. After the Louisiana Purchase, President Jefferson set these fellows out on their journey. Lewis oversaw gathering all the supplies for the trip. His spending was $2,500 and was almost 2 tons of goods. Trade was a huge plan for the explorers, and several objects were taken just for that reason. Lewis and Clark took mirrors, cloth, tobacco, and beads as gifts for the Native Americans that they met. Clark oversaw recruiting people for the mission. The recruits were only paid $10 an hour. The voyage began May 14, 1804 in the Missouri River. Clark managed the boats, and Lewis drew in his journal. The first stop on their voyage was Camp Mandan, where the Mandan Indians lived. Lewis and Clark met nearly 50 different tribes on their trip. The explorers traded many things like corn, beans, and squash. Lewis and Clark also met an Indian named Sacagawea. She provided them much knowledge about her people and the land. At the time, Sacagawea was only 17 years old, but her knowledge of the land, people, and food was an attribute to the explorers' expedition. There's not much known about her after the expedition was completed. She also jumped into a sinking ship to save some of the captain's journals. 178 new plants were discovered and collected on their trip. Many animals were also discovered and found along the way. They collected and pressed nearly 200 plant specimens. The prairie dog was one of their favorite animals to watch during the day. They wrote about many animals that were new to science, even describing that they were good to eat. After the expedition was completed, Lewis and Clark both had birds named after them, Lewis's woodpecker and Clark's nutcracker. On March 23, 1806, the explorers decided to make the long journey back home. When they returned to Missouri, the whole city was amazed. Many people thought they were dead because they had been gone so long. Through the whole trip, only one member of the crew died. Many other people followed them to live in the West after they came back home. The journals that Lewis and Clark kept were monumental in history. Many men on this voyage kept journals and provided descriptive history. There are several in museums, some lost or stolen, and some not even discovered yet. 8,000 miles were covered. Lewis and Clark left a legacy. Lewis and Clark accomplished many things on their 1804 to 1806 expedition. There are still many statues standing today of these explorers.